can.
Hey, Rick, before you guys get started, I just got a couple announcements. That's all right. First off, congrats to Travis. I see he's got his tie on today. He's going to be sworn into the Wisconsin bar in a few hours here. So yeah, just a quick congrats to Travis. The trip. So we've had a few cancellations lately. If you plan to cancel, please let us know right away. This week, Jim's going to send out an email to everyone going. It's going to have, if you owe any money, because we're going to take a deposit next week on that. So expect that from Jim. It'll just be a 25% of what you owe deposit, but that'll happen next week. And again, Jim will send that stuff out this week. We're still at over 100 people, actually, even with some recent cancellations. So it's not like people are running for the hills, but, just be courteous. If there's any doubt in your mind, just let us know that, thinking about there. Zach's webinar tomorrow. So there were 2 different times posted. The email differed from the actual invite inside the registration, I guess. So it will, in fact, be at 3 o'clock tomorrow, as the official registration says. And if you register, you'll get a calendar invite with 3 o'clock as well. So just note, tomorrow, 3 o'clock will be the Zach's webinar. All I have, Rick and Jeremy, I guess one thing I would love to hear today is, we've seen this return to volatility over the last 3 weeks. I think a lot of it's related to, the spike in treasury yields. So I'd like to hear what some advisors have to say if we have time at the end of the call about what they're doing in their practice. But I'll turn it over to Rick and Jeremy.
Okay, thanks a lot. Today we have Mike LaMontagna from Allianz. He's going to tell us about his product, and then they've got some information about Social Security as well, right?
Yeah, we're going to go through a cool calculator that helps run reports.
I will let you get started.
All right. Hey, it's fun to be here in the Harbor Home Office, broadcasting live. I'm going to wind up sharing my screen here. We're going to do a couple things. We've got a really cool calculator that ties into Social Security and some resources. Isaac Hunstad, he's part of our financial technology team, is going to jump on here in just a second. I'm going to just share a couple statistics that I think are almost alarming, but it might direct you to having some really good conversations with clients. The first one is there's been some studies out there about Social Security. 76% of future retirees said that they would change financial advisors for someone that can help them maximize Social Security. Okay. And the other side of that too is only 15% of surveyed adults over the age of 50 working with a financial professional claim that they've gotten guidance about Social Security. So if you are one of those that's giving guidance on Social Security, congratulations, because clients want to know about it. Everybody pays into it that's ever worked, and everybody wants to figure out how to get money back out of it. And a lot of people are confused, right? They know that they can take Social Security at 62. They might know that they're going to get a better benefit if they wait till 70. Marriages, divorces, all these things can make things complicated. So I'm going to share a valuable resource with you, just in a one-page document, front and back. And then we've got a calculator that you can take that document and plug in to create some reports for clients. And then we are running a promotion right now on our best income product. It's called Index Advantage Income. Mike Salnick Fishman Fishman Salnick is going to share some information at the end of it. He's had some experience with it. Pyramid on the screen, you guys can see that. This is from JP Morgan's Guide to Retirement. At the bottom of the pyramid, right, this is where Social Security comes into play, and this is where annuities come into play. A good way just visually to share with clients. Nobody likes to do budgeting, but we want to get your arms around expenses so we can plan for retirement. And then how much of your basic living needs, some people at our home office call that mug money, mortgage, utilities, gas, groceries, is going to be covered by income that can never go down and never go away and has something to keep pace with inflation. So if we've got a need of 50,000 and 35,000 is coming from Social Security, we don't have a pension, well, maybe we can create protected income with an annuity for part of it. Okay. Going back to the whole idea of starting a conversation, this is a fact finder that we've got at Allianz. I'm going to email this to Jeremy and to Rick. So if you'd like it, they can forward it to you. You can also ask Allianz for this. Your internal wholesaler if you're in Wisconsin is Pat Murphy. That's phone number, by the way, is 763-765-5907. So on the screen, it's pretty basic. You can see I put my wife and my name up there at the top, Mike and Jen. I filled this out today. I've got my phone number on there. You can give this to clients. We're married. I put an age on there. We're not actually 55 and 56, but my wife is a year older than me. So we use that. And I put in a number here for primary insurance amount, $2,500 a month. That's the full retirement benefit. And then my spouse at $1,500 a month. And then, there's a couple questions that come out of that. Are you considering claiming Social Security prior to at full retirement age and delayed past full retirement age? Well, most people might not know. So I just put uncertain. And then let's say my wife doesn't work anymore and she'd like to collect that Social Security at 62. I put prior to full retirement age. And the back side of this, what are we going to do with our Social Security? Are we going to spend it or are we going to save it? And then do you have concern about your life expectancy? Most of the financial planning software that you might use, Money Guide Pro, eMoney, Right Capital, the defaults for most places seem to be like age 92 for men and 94 for females. And this could, if you don't have concerns, use that. And if you see a check mark like a yes, maybe you open up a discussion. There's a box down on the back if somebody is divorced. But I'm going to go back to the front side. Here's where I would consider using this. If you have clients that maybe you haven't done any analysis on Social Security, give it to your clients. On the report that Isaac's going to show you how to do afterwards if they're interested. And then you can take that one step further to try to generate some new business. I might approach that like if I did it for Rick, hey Rick, if you have neighbors, friends, relatives, somebody that you work next to at the office that that don't know what they're doing with Social Security, need help, whatever, give them this form and I'd be happy to spend 10 minutes and run a report for them. And that number, that primary insurance amount, I think it's a good indicator whether or not somebody's even a good prospect for you, right? If the number is $500 a month, maybe we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But if it's $2,500 a month, it's pretty close to what the maximum would be. And I would maybe have a conversation with Rick's neighbor in that example and say, hey, Jeremy, we're, $2,500, you're close to the max. Now, can I ask you, where do you work? How you've been at Harbor? How long have you been at Harbor, Jeremy? 21 years. Okay. Maybe it was 10 years. Well, what did you do before that? Well, I spent 17 years at Manpower, somewhere else. Gives you an indication of whether or not there may be a rollover. And then, hey, are you married? Yeah, I'm married. Does your spouse work? Anyway, it's just a great tool to start opening up conversations. Where I've seen advisors use this to grow their business, I know some of you maybe on the call are part of a tax practice. You're doing tax returns for people and they need help. I'll offer this to those folks. If you're partnered with somebody or have a relationship with a tax practice, maybe they want to give it to their clients and it can help create an introduction to you. I might add same thing for PNC businesses, or if you do 401ks. I've done a lot of Social Security client education at actually employers over the years where we come in and do a lunch and learn. Well, we bring this worksheet or something like it and then show a sample report and then offer like, hey, if you would like a report based on your own scenario, we'd be happy to do that for you. It only takes a few minutes. So I think it's just a great way to talk about something that's very non-threatening. People care about Social Security because everybody pays into it. So if you're not already doing it, maybe consider it. And if you are, keep it up because people want to know. All right, I'm going to switch gears before I turn it over to Isaac. The timing right now for what we're doing, and this ties into Social Security. If you look at this sentence up here, please answer the following questions, or you and your spouse, bring in the worksheet to your financial professional, start a conversation on Social Security and enhancing your retirement income strategies. That's obviously one of the things that a good annuity carrier does is have income strategies. Our best-selling contract for income right now, it's called Index Advantage Income. Try to here. Has really high withdrawal rates. We believe it's the strongest income layer contract that exists. And it's a little sweeter right now because we're running a promotion. We're bumping up the withdrawal rates by an extra 30 basis points. limited until we bring in $1 billion. It'll go fast. We started it the Tuesday after Labor Day, and we're already about 25% the way through that. Why are we doing it? A couple things. Number one is your conference was the first conference that I've been to in a year and a half. So we haven't spent the kind of money on conferences and entertainment that we had. So our leadership team is trying to do things to give it back to the policyholder. And the budget may be a little bit bigger than we normally do on these kind of promotions. And the second is we've added some, pretty major selling agreements. And we just think if you try it, we can create some hype around the promotion. Once you get into our ecosystem, like here, I'm doing this drawn iPad and I have an iWatch and we've got an iPhone. Get used to something and the service model that goes with this and the way the company operates, generally people stick with it. And we're doing some things that separate us from the pack to help you give your client a good experience with our contracts. And we're number one in the buffered annuity space. I'll talk about that in a second. But why is this so valuable to you right now? So this is a piece again from the JP Morgan Guide to Retirement. I would consider using this as a financial advisor and maybe just to educate clients. Let's say you have a client that comes in the door and they have $1 million. They tell you that they want $70,000 a year life and they're 65. Well, we all know that a 7% systematic withdrawal isn't sustainable. And if you look at the chart, the green, basically 1 to 4%, maybe 5%. To take some chances. But I might even use this as a story with clients about what they can expect. So if somebody says they want a 7% withdrawal rate, we find that down here. Let's say the client's in a 60-40 portfolio. The number in the box is the likelihood that that strategy is going to work for 30 years. And you can see the number obviously isn't very good. It's 5 to 10%. So I might conversation with the client say there's maybe 3 things we can do. Number one is you're going to stick to your guns and you need to have 70. The best opportunity to get that is to move over to 100% stock. If that was right now, the market's high. So our strategy right now would be to take risk. Hope it works. Good strategy. Second thing we can do, right, is we can change our expectations. We try to get to a 4 or 5% withdrawal rate. Can we work an extra 2 years to save a little bit more money? Have those kind of conversations. Or the third thing we can talk about doing is to transfer some risk with a portfolio where we have absolute certainty that it's going to be able to generate income for as long as you live. That's where Allianz Index Advantage income comes into play. Up our withdrawal rate chart. This is kind of a devious eye chart. It's very busy. Way to read this. There's 2 sides to this. At the very top, you'll see it says level income. Each 2 on this, it would be increasing, which just means that when you turn on the income, you have something that has the ability to have an that can increase after you start it, and it would do that even if it's out of money. You might expect maybe a 2 to 3% increase on that. So that might mean my income might start at 20,000 when I'm 65, but when I'm 90, 95, it might be 35,000 or 40,000 or something like that. And that would be at a $0 balance if you live that long, but the income going up. That saves the client from selling shares on other investments. So how does this work? The left-hand column is the issue age. So we start on the left. We just go to the right. So if I have a 55-year-old, base withdrawal rate is 4.8. Ordinarily, that would be 4.5. This is part of the promotion that we're running right now. So this is enhanced temporarily. I'm guessing that billion will last until about Halloween. Every year the client holds, we add 0.3 the withdrawal rate. So if we have a 10-year wait, that's an extra 3%. We come over to the right year column. See, there's a 7.8% withdrawal rate. I go to the increasing income. Policyholder makes that choice when they turn on the income. The same scenario. Instead of 7.8, it's 7. So on $1 million, would you rather have $78,000 that and it'll never go up or down, or would you rather have $70,000 that has a chance to go up anytime the market's positive? Probably 7 out of 10 years. They make that decision later. So that's the withdrawal rate, and this is what you can't safely replicate right on your own off of a mutual fund or a managed account. So I'm not saying to take the example that I gave you earlier with $1 million, put all of it into the annuity, but it might make sense to look at 20, 25, 30% of the portfolio where you can get a really high withdrawal rate. Has income that goes up to take pressure off the rest of the investments, and plug this stuff into software. Lots of times, just making some modest assumptions does create a greater probability of success. And Isaac will come in and share the Social Security calculator and how we layer in annuity income inside that. How do we make money in these contracts? By the way, it's a 6-year surrender. Cost all in is 1.95. Don't have the income, it's 1.25. We see a lot of people that just use this as a strategy to grow and protect the money. We're doing it without bonds. It's purely done with equity indexes, but we're going to use buffers and we're going to use floors to protect the client's downside. A lot of people are just trying to accumulate more wealth, but they want to control the downside. And I would just ask the question, why should you have to have 40% of your money in an asset class that is projected by lots of the asset managers to make 1% per year over the next 5 years? You know, can I bounce an idea off you to help you protect the downside so you don't feel like you're making a mistake? We can not limit the upside to 1% per year over the next 5. Not asset allocation. It's buffers and floors. So I'll just point out our number one strategy right now. A 3-year term here. We have a buffer of 20% over 3 years. It just means that we look at the S&P 500 in this example. If I focus on the S&P, it's down. We wouldn't lose a dime unless it's down more than 20. If it's up over 3 years, we get 100% of the return up to 55. If the index does 30% over 3 years, you make 30. But if it does 65% over 3 years, all right, we're only going to make 55. The likelihood of losing money, if you have that back-to-back 3-year segments with a 20%, historically, we have a data piece on this that, if you like, 0.88% chance. Their average return over 6 years is 56. I would imagine we have more than a 0.88% chance of loss over the next 6 years, and probably not going to average 56. If we get lucky, we have a cap, we can make 55 and 3. Want to go to 1-year segments, we can do that. If you want more upside on a 3-year, we can go uncapped, but the buffer. Service model at Allianz, you do have the ability to lock in gains, and we are proactive you with this. There's a process. It's the first week, get these rate sheets. So the second week, out advisors, any clients that have contracts, they're at least 70% to cap, or they're in a multi-year segment and they're up 10% or more. Do the same thing the last week of the month, but it'd be 90% to cap. Cap is 10 and I'm up 9.5. My anniversary, say, is in 3 months. You could lock it in now, and then it just does nothing until the anniversary, and then it would unlock up your protection. Do the same thing even with multi-year segments, and it's the last week of the month, 15 or more. A call from an advisor this morning in Milwaukee, and it was up. I had 400,000 with a 20% buffer, and I bought it a year ago. It was October 1st. Now my value is 500. Good as my 20% buffer if my value is 400. I'm sorry, my value is 500. Client's going to lock it in at 500 or first, or whatever the next anniversary it is, for the remainder. We can spend more time on that with you if you'd like to know. I'm going to switch gears now and turn it over to Isaac Hunstad. He's going to show you a calculator from LifeYield that's on our website that's really valuable to run reports.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So just can I get a thumbs up that you can see my screen? Perfect. So my name is Isaac Hunstad. I've been with Allianz for actually 2 weeks ago was my 10-year anniversary. So I've been around for quite a while. I'm going to show you this Social Security tool today. Just so you guys know, I also work a lot with platforms like Money Guide Pro, eMoney, Right Capital, Riskalyze. There's a bunch of them that I work with. So if you need further help with those kind of tools, also let me know. Where I am right now is the Allianz Life website. If you need help with getting in here, let Pat know or whoever your dedicated internal is to get to the calculator. So I scroll down here, find tools and calculators, and Social Security Advantage. Just so you guys know, that fact finder that Mike showed you right here, there's a link to it. There is a quick guide in a video. I think you'll find out that it is fairly straightforward, which is really nice. And I always say that the first time you click it, more than likely you're going to get a pop-up blocker, just so you know. So here's the main landing page of the tool. Before I forget to mention this, you can get LifeYield from them for a fee, but if you use it through our website, it's free for you guys to use. Before I show kind of the Social Security side of the demo, I'm going to go into the settings and just know that the first time you use it, if you don't do anything here in the settings, that COLA adjustment is going to be 0. So just know that. So now I have it at 1.65. You can use, you can use whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with, but just know that's where it is. And down below, and I'll touch on this again once I show you the report, but I have just my basic info. But if you have a website, if you want to put all of your contact information down here, what's really nice is once you create this case for a client or a prospect and create the PDF, all that contact information is going to be right there on the front page. So feel free to edit that however you want to. So I'm going to come in here and add a Social Security case. Normally, you'd be like the Smith's Social Security case or whatever the client's name is. I'm going to have Mrs. Doe be 55 years old. So I'm going to kind of piggyback off the ages Mike was using. I'm going to use married right here, just so you know as well. It does also use divorced, or you can show divorced and widowed. I know with divorce sometimes, that can be tricky. You need the ex-spouse's benefit, but it can plan for these two situations as well. I click next. And Mike showed you that worksheet, but what's best is to have that full retirement amount. So I'm going to put for Mrs. Doe, $1,800 there. You can also use the client's annual salary, and it'll get you close. It is very much so making some assumptions at that point, so it is better to have this. The nice thing is, so let's say you're meeting with someone for the first time, Social Security comes up, and you want to do this. They don't have their statement with you. You can use the salary to kind of get the conversation started. And then once we save the case, all these cases that you create, you saw that you might maybe notice that kind of a long list of cases with silly names because I'm always doing demos, but you can go back and change it really easily kind of on the back end. I'm going to have Mr. Doe be this, just to keep it easy, the same age. So he's 55. I'm going to make his benefit a little bit less. I didn't mention this yet, but right here, this will link you right to the ss.gov website. So if they have a login, you can go pull that statement. Right here, non-covered pensions. So think of kind of your government worker that's going to have something that will offset Social Security. There's a couple really helpful PDFs down here. I always throw these out there. Also, we do have an advanced markets team. So if you guys need some help with more advanced kind of questions on Social Security, get to Mike or your internal. They're great. Chuck and Dave are, I lean heavily on them for some of the more detailed stuff, just so you know. I'm going to keep this at 0 for today. And then this screen, one of the things I talk a lot about when I'm doing this demo is, first of all, so I'm 35. A lot of my aunts and uncles and my mom are kind of in that filing now to filing soon age, kind of in the 60 to 65 range. I find when I'm talking with them a lot of times that they are talking about, well, I should just file right away. Why wouldn't I get my money while I can? That's sort of that's their mindset. So what this is right here is them saying this is what they're telling you they want to do. You can change it. I'm going to keep it at 62 to be dramatic. And we'll kind of address some more of this here once we get into it. When I'm doing money guide or e-money plans, I typically have, unless there's health reasons, I have her living till 94 and him living till 92. Just kind of statistically, she's going to be one that outlives him. But that's what I'm going to use for life expectancy. Right here is just data review. And then right off the bat, and it's obvious for this couple with their longevity, waiting till 70 is going to be best. But right away, it shows them kind of that sizzle of, we found you an extra 457,000. And I totally understand living till 92 and 94 for a lot of people, myself included. That's, I mean, almost kind of hard to think about living that long. What this tool does is allows you to kind of visually show clients and help them make kind of an educated decision. So what I'm going to do here is click cumulative. The green line, that's our optimal strategy. So you'll see it's flat until 2035 when we file, and then you see income start. The blue line is what they want to do. One of the easiest, or one of the things that this tool does really nice is helps you without having to do any math, figure out what's the break even, because there is the obvious pain point of what are we going to do for those 8 years that we don't have Social Security coming in. So right here, when these two lines cross, and I totally, the numbers might be small because it's kind of a box in a box here, but just know here at age 78, we're now cumulatively better off every year moving forward because we did that deferring strategy. Right now we're $826 ahead. And then every year you scroll across here. So what's really nice is this 92 and 94 might, be something they don't even want to talk about. So they might say, what if I only live till 84? You can just show them right here. Well, we're still 179,000 better off by doing that. I totally understand. I mean, and with Social Security, one of the things is, and I hate to call it gambling, but you are kind of making these decisions. You're partially betting on your longevity, the part that we just don't have any control of. If I were to show my, my aunt and uncle this right here, they might say, well, filing at 62 probably doesn't make sense. Let's take a look. But we just can't wait till 70. That's too long. Right down here in the blue, these are all hyperlinks. So I'm going to click at 66. We're going to meet in the middle. And you saw that line kind of recalibrate there. So now we found them an additional 233,000 still. So we're still better off by doing the cumulative, but we cut that gap almost in half. And then we can see right here that the gap narrowed quite a bit. We pushed the break even out to, I think, probably 80. Yep. So now we're at 80 instead of 78. And then at 84, where it was 179, now it's 74. So it's still, they're still better off, but just in the end, what this is doing is allowing them to make an educated decision that they feel comfortable with. And it's a way for you to bring a lot of value to this conversation rather than trying to spreadsheet it out or just kind of conceptually talk about it. I'm going to switch it back to 62 here. But then right down here, you'll see the optimal versus the custom. It tells them exactly what they need to do. And I always joke because I'm always doing this presentation now virtually like this. So if I were in a room with you guys, I would ask who here is called the Social Security Department for a client or a parent or something like that. I'd probably see a lot of hands go up. I've had to call for my mom 3 or 4 times. Then I would ask who had fun with that conversation, and a lot of hands would go down. Just because they're very much so reading from their screen. They're not going to think outside the box or give you any really guidance. This right here will show up on the report. So it makes it very easy for you to point to, this is exactly what you need to do. This part's more powerful when the client's closer to filing, but I just always like to highlight it. Now, what we can also do, so right here, you see we're on the Social Security tab. I'm going to switch over to the Income Layers tab. And this part is exclusive to the Allianz version of Life Yield. I'm going to move the income floor down to the bottom. So this is that optimal strategy we just found. And then in this income floor, I'm going to click on the little pencil. So I'm going to say we're going to retire at 65. So 2031, the end year, it's always going to default to second death. So you don't have to do any math there. What I'm doing here is putting in 85,000. So that's going to be kind of our income floor as far as just maintaining our lifestyle. I'm going to grow that by an inflation-like number. So 2.25. And then right here, what do we need to have today at 55, growing by 5% to fill in that income gap? And what you'll see is, so here at 65, see 85,000, it's growing by 2.25. So I would just pick a year. So I'll go 24. So we're 79. We're getting 66,000 and change from Social Security, which means we need about 50,000 from our portfolio. What we can do then is layer in some additional guaranteed income. And Mike already touched on the product. I'm definitely not going to go in depth at all, but I'm just going to show you this illustration for a 55-year-old turning on income at 65. So their joint withdrawal rate's 6.5. All we really need from this is the 26,922. So I'm going to copy that. And I built in the increasing income feature. I'll let Mike at a later time kind of talk about that, but 26,922, and then down below here, this 2.07, that's our average pay raise once we turned it on. So what I'm going to do, come in here, and here, just to be clear, the start year is not when you're buying it, it's when you're turning on income. So I'm going to buy it today, turn on income in 2031, so matching our retirement age. Actually, before I do this, sorry, what I didn't show you, sorry, I skipped a step. Down below, this shows us that we need 612,000 roughly, growing by that 5% to fill in all this income gap at the top. I didn't show that in the beginning. Sorry about that. So 26,992 or 922, 2.07 is our growth. It is a variable annuity. On the illustration, it's going to show us a paycheck with no growth. So that'll be on there for you. And then I'm putting 300,000 into the annuity. Hit save. And what we'll see once this kind of calibrates is, so now we have this extra purple here. And when we looked at 2045 before, we needed about 50,000 from the portfolio. So now and just by having that annuity in here, now we've reduced that to only 14,000. So that's 20-some thousand less in shares we're selling off that year in retirement, which becomes even more powerful. If let's say the S&P is down by 25% that year, so we're selling off that many fewer shares when we're down 20-30%. Down below where we needed 612 before, now we need 280. So it just shows how by implementing this extra kind of guaranteed income up top, we need that much less, and it just gives you a lot more room on the investment side, hopefully to be a little more aggressive for their wants and their wishes, and that's kind of the whole idea conceptually. I didn't mention this before. Oh, perfect. So someone did ask a question in the chat. So if you guys do have any questions, throw it in the chat. So the question was, where did I find it on the website? So just real quick. So here's the main landing page of the website. Down below, here's all the quick links in the middle. Find tools and calculators. And then it should be lower right, but just look for Social Security Advantage. Sometimes I've seen the tiles laid out differently for whatever reason. So just look for Social Security Advantage. Click here, and then go to Social Security Advantage. So if anybody else has any other questions, just throw it into the chat. That's the only one I see right now. I'm going to download this report. It usually takes a little bit of time just because it's kind of pulling a lot of data together. But then you'll see right here. So here's the title of it. I alluded to the contact information in the beginning. So here it would be all that. The cool thing is if let's say you email this to a client or a prospect as a follow-up, This is hyperlinked for them. It's really easy for them to get back to you, which is nice. Right here is going to be some definitions. I'm going to zoom in just so we have a chance of actually seeing it. Here's that graph that we just showed them. But then, because sometimes, a lot of times, this might be enough, depending on the client. I know if I were to also poll the audience, a lot of you, everybody has that engineer client that wants a lot more information or a lot more detail. So we can get into the detail here. And I know this is hard to see just because I'm scrolling fast and there's a lot of numbers. But on the right-hand side, this is that cumulative number. So we can show this to them right here. I'll try my best of drawing with my mouse. But now we're $826 ahead by the time we're 79. So we can show that to them. Also, if I keep scrolling down, now here's that income layers. Kind of this is what we built out. Here's the graph that we showed. I love this just from, I'm a visual learner. This is very easy for, me to understand. I joke a lot about, because I always go with my mom when she meets with her financial advisor. She is very much so the investment 101 sort of client. This is what she could understand, and she knows I make fun of her a lot, so we're okay there. But this is that graph, and then again for that kind of more detailed client, here's just year by year where we're taking it, and then Social Security coming out at 70 right there, and then it continues from there. I'll stop there in kind of interest of time, but does anybody have any questions? I'll also put my contact info out in the chat. Anything else, Mike, that you'd like to add?
I thought that was really good, but if you have trouble figuring this stuff out, give us a call, and Isaac and the team can help out, whether it's your money guide or anything. The thing I'd add is, if you think about that withdrawal rate chart that I showed you, where a 55-year-old waiting 10 years, we're going to give you 7 on an increasing income. I probably have seen 50 to 60 advisors that have bought it. If you are looking to just guarantee more of your income, take a close look at that contract. It's really good. It's a little sweeter right now than normally.
Right, thanks a lot, guys.
One quick question that also came in. That main landing page I showed on the website, yours might look slightly different, but it's going to be very similar to this. The advisor page, because I have like a home office view. Someone asked that, so it'll look very similar. So that's all I have.
Right, thank you. And we also have Mike Fishman Salnick, who has used the product, and Mike.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so we've used this product for a few years. Joel was using it for a long time, and I've now used it for a few clients this year. And there's a few times, that it fits well, and I think that where it does fit well is in one instance is if you have a younger client looking to build sort of a self-pension fund. I think it can work well for that, just because of how much the income that benefit can increase over time. And if they're looking for something with the buffered annuity, I mean the 3-year product with the 110% upside, is where I like that also to be placed in that instance, because it doesn't have a cap and you're getting that 10% enhancement on there. But like if you had a client that was younger in their 40s, like 45, you could be looking at an 8.05% withdrawal rate at age 60, which is pretty awesome. And then I had used it for a client back when the rates were a little bit higher, but even now they're really good. And she was 59 when we put her funds in, and so her withdrawal rate will be 7.4 when she starts taking income at 65, and it would be 7 now at 65. So that's also really good. And I think the other place that this fits is right now there's no, at least there's talks about other ones, but there is no other ones out there right now in the buffered annuity space that have the income benefit attached to it, not that I've seen at least. And so if you have a client that wants that buffered product along with the income side, then I think it fits well there too. to have that addition, as well as the buffers in place for them. The other neat thing that I thought, or that I like about it is you don't have to choose your benefit option up front. So it's something you choose when you start income, whether it's going to be joint or single, and whether you want increasing or flat. And so I like that option too. It gives clients flexibility. They don't know, if they're holding on to this product for a long time, which I think is the benefit of it, that, if it's a longer term investment for them, then, they may not know exactly what they want their situation to be in 5 or 10 years or 15 years. So I think having that flexibility on the back end is really nice. And you can also, I forget exactly if it's first time premium or less, but I know you can add to the contract. And so I do have some clients that are doing that now as well. That are adding on to their contract to help it grow for the future. So for all those things, that's kind of where we found a good fit for it.
Right. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Jeremy, do you have anything?
Yeah, just some questions we get from back office. As far as when rates locked in, where the money comes.
Yeah, and there's some confusion on like when, like withdrawal rate versus like what your cap rates are. So if you wrote an app, we're gonna, for example, this $1 billion allowance that we're doing for these extra rates, we're gonna get a notice, and there's kind of a countdown that we're emailing out weekly. We'll know like 2 weeks in advance based on the app date. Apps, those things can change. It's the first Tuesday of every month. So it's whenever it indexes. So if I put up our rates for this month, but they might look a little different starting the next Tuesday of next month. It's when they fund. That, if you have experience with our fixed index contract, is a little bit different. There's a rate lock for 90 days on the fixed index contracts. Buffered products, it's a little different. It's when it funds.
And when rates change, existing contract renewals.
Yeah, and that's we're not new in this space, by the way, guys. We've been doing this since 2013. We're the #1 carrier in the buffered annuity space, and I would say there's a few reasons for it. Number one is we're the only one, as Mike mentioned, that has income right now. Two is the caps and the strategies that you have are really attractive. They look really good, but the renewal rate history has been there too. Your caps are going to change. So, and volatility and option pricing is going to determine that. Our buffered strategies, generally, when we see buffers go up, volatility go up, those caps will go up. So I might had a contract in 2000, or before the pandemic, maybe say the cap was 15, and then it went to 25, kind of through the pandemic, and now maybe it's coming back down to 17 again. They're going to move up and down, and the renewal rate history is all there. We publish it. The conservative strategy, the protection, is a little bit different. There's a strategy inside on a rate sheet that looks a little bit more like a fixed index where it's 100% protected. People generally don't use that for their money when they're accumulating unless they want to dial down the risk for some of them. They use it in the income phase, but that is designed to be stable. So if I had a contract from a couple of years ago, that rate might have been 5% or 6%, and now a new policy might be lower than that. It might be 2.5%, something like that. The old policy still might look high, but all the other strategies, the buffer and the floor strategies, those look more like new business.
What about like Allianz's?
Thanks. I mean, that's another reason why I think we're #1 in the space. Is Allianz is the only carrier that offers buffered annuities that has a AA rating by S&P. So really strong, stable company. We're in growth mode. We got into this space in 2013 because we were looking for something. I know there's a lot of talk about the environment. We're trying to back off on the buffer or the benefit-based roll-up type contracts, but still have something sustainable for the insurance company and attractive to policyholders, and what we call our 1% interest rate playbook, which later became our 0% interest rate playbook. And globally, this is only about like our annuity business is like 10% of our overall company. We're a huge global, so very strong, stable company.
I had a question. What is Allianz or Allianz?
AllianzLife.com, guys.
Oh, I think that's it. We didn't get get to the interest rate questions, but if anybody has things that they're doing due to the volatility in the market and they want to raise their hand, we can let them speak. I don't see anybody there, so I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much. Have a great week.